So, in today's cheeky markets, while I celebrate my birthday, I actually want to give you guys the weekly recap on Bitcoin's price action and crypto news. From the price action, Bitcoin is still going up in a very parabolic manner. Now, even though there's some reasons why we could expect a correction, I actually think there's still more room to go to the upside. In today's video, I also want to talk about the Bitcoin dominance because in my last video, I actually said this might be a good opportunity to actually start buying altcoins. I also want to take a look at the Bitcoin futures charts because, as they say, all gaps must be filled, and if this is the case, Bitcoin could retrace all the way back down to 8.5k. And in the crypto news section, there's Facebook news, and also Russia wanting to legalize cryptocurrency trading once again. So if you're curious about it, just chill and keep watching. Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, and this is your host, the Cheeky and Tradepreneur. So before starting this video, I actually want to say that today's video is actually quite special for me, and the reason is because it was around 1 year ago since I started this channel. And to be honest, all that I've learned from doing this channel is just priceless. I've learned a lot about editing videos, I've learned a lot about designing in Photoshop, I learned a lot about managing the content, marketing, and even improving my trading on its own. To be honest, I think I've actually become a better trader. I think I've actually improved a lot in the discipline, and that's something very important. I think that's one of the most difficult things to achieve. Well, in any case, that was the first reason, and the second reason is because I basically started this channel for my birthday last year, and to be honest, I don't really celebrate my birthday. For me, it's a time to do a massive reflection of what my life is. It's usually a time that I really take to think about where I am right now and where I really want to be in the future. And even though today is my birthday, to be honest, the best present for myself is just keep doing what I'm doing and basically work for the things I believe in and ignoring others' negativity and insecurities, because if you're trying to put yourself out there, you're gonna have a massive, let's say, pushback from maybe people around you, from even family members, that they think that you're wasting your time. And to be honest, it can be a little bit frustrating. But in any case, guys, here I am, and let's just start with today's Bitcoin technical analysis. By looking at the daily chart, the first thing that I want to highlight is that after breaking this very important level around here, we are still seeing this enormous parabolic behavior. So if we start from here, we have been created higher highs after higher highs after higher highs, and we have basically gone parabolic since then. The second thing that I would like to highlight is all these Fibonacci levels. So basically, I grab all the way from the end of 2017, I grab the Fibonacci retracement tool from the very top all the way there, all the way to the very bottom here at the end of 2018, and basically this demonstrates some very important levels to take a look at. So in this case, the most important levels around closer to the price were the 38% retracement and the 50% retracement. And to be honest, I was very surprised because I know a lot of people who were analyzing this were expecting, let's say, more resistance around the 9.5k level. If you see, a lot of people were reaching that as a target. And to be honest, I think that we didn't see that amount of resistance because we actually went up, then slightly corrected in here, but then we kept moving in a parabolic behavior. Now, having said that, we have broken this 38% level, we have broken this 10k also level. Now the next thing would be taking a look at the next Fibonacci retracement level, which is the 50%, which lies around 11.5k, and it wouldn't surprise me if, even though we're still here, we still overextend all the way to that level and maybe go a little bit over and really test how much pressure to the downside we can find here, because chances are that we might actually go back down, we might retest this, and if we find enough support from there, we could actually go way back up and maybe test the 61.8% level. But in any case, guys, on the last note, I just want to highlight what the oscillators basically say, and as you can see, all the oscillators are basically overbought. I signal that here we had various bearish divergences, and that's an objective view. You can see that we are still creating yet another bearish divergence. Also, the stochastics are overbought, and if you remember, the last thing that I said is that we could potentially find some resistance here in the RSI because we had this trend line, but actually if you take a look, we actually went slightly above, then we used that as support, and then off we went again. And I want to highlight this because since we are still on a parabolic behavior, even though these indicators are still overbought, there is a chance for us to overextend even further, making this a little bit more difficult to short at this moment of time. Well, in any case, guys, just before heading to the 4-hourly chart, I actually want to address something that someone from Discord actually said. Basically, he was stating that I have been bearish all the way since 7.8k, and I think he has not really watched all of my videos, because if you know what I've been saying is that basically a correction is not the same as a bearish sentiment. And now why is this? What I've said before is that if we take a picture at the longer, let's say at the macro picture in Bitcoin, it looked like we're basically just creating a leg to the upside, and that means that if we create a higher high after higher high, but we don't really establish a higher low, we could still potentially correct and establish that real higher low and find support to continue going up. So basically what I've been saying is that in reality I am bullish, but again, with this parabolic behavior, we really need to be careful. As we saw before the end of the 2017 bull run, then it went down very dramatic. So we could still basically expect some corrections, but still creating higher lows, which is very bullish on its own. But in any case, guys, this really doesn't matter. No one can really predict where the price is going, and I've mentioned this before. If you have watched my cheeky trading videos, the last two, I am really relying on risk management, and I mentioned that from empirical data from that universities have done, no one can really predict the market. The margin of error is basically of 50%. It's basically just tossing a coin. And that's when it comes to really predicting if it's going up or down. Now, the key of trading is not really trying or relying on where the price is going, but really manage your losses. And if you remember from around here, from this rising wedge that we had over here, I actually shorted, and I mentioned a potentially correction in June, which actually happened, and I closed all of my shorts here at 7.6. And what I was actually expecting is potentially the price to actually break to the downside all the way to the next support level, which was around 6.8. But in this scenario, that didn't happen. We found support, and after that, what I said is that we could potentially see a double top around here, which essentially didn't happen. And more specifically, what I said is that we had two options around here. We could either go down and break to the downside, and I mentioned that that could be basically a fake out, or we could find some support, which we actually did, and at this point was where I said that we could actually go all the way to 9.5k, or maybe even to 10k, which is the top of this resistance box around here. But in any case, one thing that I was really not expecting is for us to not basically find any resistance around that resistance box in here in the 10k. To be honest, I thought that we could go all the way to 10k and then potentially retrace back down to one of the support boxes that we have previously, but this wasn't the case, and we continue going parabolic from there. Now here it comes what I said in the daily chart, because basically the next resistance box or the next important line here relies at 11.5k, and this is one of the reasons where I think still, even from being here, we could extend all the way here, retesting these levels, and then maybe potentially have an opportunity to short from there. Or on the opposite way, if we actually go all the way back down and we find some support around here, we could actually long. But to be honest, we need to take into consideration that there was not enough resistance in there, so potentially if this comes back down, it could go all the way back down to this level, which actually show some strong support. But what I really want to highlight, guys, is that it doesn't matter where the price goes. you don't have to rely on predictions. It's really impossible to make correct predictions. What you need to rely on is on your risk reward and risk management. And I say this because even though like I took a lot of profits from here, even though I have been shorting in specific areas, I have not lost a lot from what I gain in here, and the reason is because I've been using correct risk management in this sense. And even though I could still short and I could still profit more from shorts than longing in this case, and I mentioned, if you have watched some of my older videos, I mentioned my strategy involves more shorting, and the reason is because if the price goes up, my main portfolio is still earning, I'm still gaining in any case. And I mentioned that if I take longs, I'm basically gearing up on leverage, so I'm basically adding more risk to the portfolio that I already have. So by taking shorts, I'm actually reducing risk, because if the price actually goes back down, then that means that even though I am losing from my main portfolio, I'm still earning some while trading to the downside. So that's my personal strategy. That's how I've been doing. Well guys, just to finish this Bitcoin technical analysis, I want to talk about the Bitcoin dominance. And if you remember, I actually was highlighting that here we could find some resistance in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance, and that was actually true. If you see, we actually touched and went back down, and we have been basically consolidating around this area. And something that I said is that potentially altcoins could be earning some momentum. Now after we broke that line, what I've been basically doing is Bitcoin cost average into altcoins. I still have some Bitcoin on reserve, and I'm still waiting for this potentially to go all the way back up, because if it does go all the way back up to this 63% level, we could create what could be a double top. And to be honest, if we actually get there, I would even leverage on the altcoins to the upside. And to be honest, I think some of even you guys have been benefiting from this. I even bought Neo around this level, and it already yield like 20%, almost 30%, and I'm still gonna be holding because these are very good levels. And now we still have this chance to retest back again this support level around here, and if we did so, altcoins will have a very good run. Just by calculating the percentage, in some of them I would say around 50% up to 100% in Bitcoin terms, which is clearly a good thing. Most if you are into Bitcoin, most if you want to get more Bitcoin and you don't really care about the fiat price, if you are into that, then potentially you should consider this chart more often. Finally but not least, I want to talk about the future charts. I'm using this more and more now, and as a lot of people have said, usually you get all these gaps filled. As we see, I mean, there's no need to really go all the way back because a lot of people have already demonstrated it, but basically when we have these gaps, we usually tend to fill them. Now this is a chart that I'm starting to look more and more into it, and it seems that right now, because we're still above this 10,600, potentially by the end of the weekend, by the end of today, we could see the price anywhere up here, and it would actually be good, at least in my opinion, if we were to go all the way to the 11.5k, and then when all this trading starts actually going back down and correcting, because we would not only have one gap around here, which basically is at 8.5k, but we would potentially have an additional gap in here, and we actually have a very small gap around here. But again, the point being is that even if we go all the way back, hopefully to 11.5k, then we might have a good opportunity to actually correct. And again, the word that I'm using is actually correct, because if we are here at 11.5, there's a chance to go back down, to fill that gap, to find some support from the support boxes that I have highlighted, and then create a higher low and then continue going up. So again, a correction does not necessarily mean that we are on a bearish trend. Actually, it's quite bullish, it's quite normal to have another higher low, and that's just how it is. One good way to trade is just to swing trade, see where the price is exhausted, then short, see where the price finds supports, and then long, and basically that's how you can actually get a lot of profits. And in this week's cryptocurrency news, even though we have not had a lot of news, all these news have been evolving around Facebook. Facebook releases cryptocurrency white paper for Libra currency. According to the paper, Facebook global stablecoin Libra will operate on the native and scalable Libra blockchain and be backed by a reserve of assets ostensibly designed to give an intrinsic value and mitigate volatility fluctuations. The new cryptocurrency will be governed by a non-for-profit Switzerland-based consortium, the Libra Association, which counts MasterCard, PayPal, Visa, Stripe, eBay, Coinbase, Andreessen Horowitz, and Uber among its founding members. The white paper notes that while final decision-making authority rests with the association, Facebook is expected to maintain a leadership role through 2019. Facebook created Calibra, a regulated subsidiary, to ensure separation between social and financial data and to build and operate services on its behalf on top of the Libra network. Since authorized resellers will always be able to sell Libra coins to the reserve at a price equal to the value of the basket, the Libra reserve acts as a buyer of last resort. And to be honest guys, if I give my honest opinion, I will say that I'm not very keen on Facebook Libra coin, and the reason is because Facebook already has a lot of data on you. They basically know who you are, where you live, who your friends are, who your family are, what you like, and they basically use all this data to target ads. So now I'm asking, do we really need to give them all of our financial data now? Because basically with this Libra coin, they are gonna be able to know where you buy stuff, why you buy stuff, what stuff you buy, and when do you buy them. So I'm not really feeling too comfortable given the track record of this company. And now, having said this, I must admit that this is a real stablecoin, and the reason is because that they say that merchants can basically exchange this Libra coin into actual fiat, and this is very impressive given the other track records of other stablecoins, let's say just Tether, which you can't actually exchange for fiat, and we don't even know if they actually have the reserves that they claim to have, because we see that they are just printing and printing more Tether, but still they're not actually giving enough transparency on their situation. Well guys, just like I said, more news on Facebook. US Fetcher, Facebook's Libra carries both benefits and risks. In response, Powell said he believed that society remains a long way from digital currencies replacing central bank currencies, and that the central bank was not too concerned about no longer being able to implement monetary policy because of them, given the infancy of the digital asset class. He said he echoes the sentiments of Bank of England Governor McCartney in that he believes we will wind up having quite high expectations from a safety and soundness and regulatory standpoint if they do decide to go forward with something. Powell clarified that we don't have plenary authority over cryptocurrencies as such. They play into our world through consumer protection and money laundering. But I would say that through international forums we have significant input into the payment systems and playing an important role in the payment system here in the United States. And to be honest guys, it's kind of interesting that the central banks are basically taking this position and they're not really caring way too much about cryptocurrencies, because they were actually designed to make this financial revolution. And this is one of the reasons that I don't really like Libra as a cryptocurrency, because it is misrepresenting what cryptocurrencies are supposed to be. Cryptocurrencies are supposed to be decentralized, and cryptocurrencies are supposed to be this financial revolution and basically stopping these central banks from continuing printing and printing money over and over again. And finally, to break this cycle of Facebook news, Russian Ministry of Finance considers allowing cryptocurrency trading. Per the report, the Deputy Minister of Finance Alexei Moiseev told journalists on Friday that while Minfin had reached no final decision, cryptocurrency trading may be allowed in the coming bill on the circulation of cryptocurrencies in the Russian Federation. Anatoly Aksakov, head of the Duma Financial Market Committee, called the pending decision a compromise and pointed out that the Financial Action Task Force recommended that Russia adopt a bill regulating the circulation of cryptocurrencies by the end of this year. Also this week, news broke that the head of the Bank of Russia said that while they are exploring the possibility of launching a central bank digital currency, it is not planned for the near future. And basically guys, what I think is that this was just something that would be happening anyways because of all the sanctions that the US payment systems put to these countries like China and countries like Russia. Because to be honest, they should be considering things like Bitcoin, not only because of the frictionless payment but also for the international and decentralization on itself. And I actually think that they are really considering cryptocurrencies, and what they said about this this cryptocurrency central bank sounds very interesting, and we will have to see where do they go and if they actually avoid Big Brother US. Well, in any case guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, and only if you did, mind subscribing and also hit that like button. In any case, I'm gonna keep celebrating my birthday by editing this video, but if you actually want to support the channel, you can take a look at all the links down in the description. It is really appreciated. But in any case guys, just as usual, I would like to remind you all, stay smart, stay bold, but most important of all, stay cheeky. Take care guys.